Hello guys, and we're back again for another standard deck tech. But for today's aggro build that we're going to feature, goes back with one of the best. It's probably the best Magic the Gathering set in 2022. That is Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and from that set came out this specific tribe, which we now call as the deck called Sultai Ninjas. So the ninja archetype, or we can say some of them are rogue, probably back in Zendikar. So for this one, we go explore with not probably the latest, but it's a slight variance of what this typical build looked like before. In which before we had this one as a blue-black or just a Demir side, but now we have to go with splashing green to make it more having the variety and also opening your options to the greens good cards that is probably effective in the current standard format. So we look at this build, which is mostly composed of creatures and lands. So we have 22 lands, and I decided to divide this one by mana cost, since we only had creatures as the non-land spells. So we go with the 12 1-drops, so making sure that our ninjutsu goes with the basic curve, or probably the most efficient curve, starting up with 1 mana cost ninja. So we have 4 copies of Fang Shigeki. This is a basic 1-drop for 1/1 death touch, but the important thing is, again, to mention is the ninjutsu ability that should be triggered as early as turn 2. So we have 4 copies of this. Also, we have 4 copies of Network Disruptor. This is now a Moonfolk Rogue. This is not a ninja, but still it goes with the rogue ability, that of Silver 4 Master's passive +1. So this one is a flying, which is very good for evasion and triggering ninjutsu early on. It has this ability though that it enters the battlefield, the top target permanent. It might not be really good in the early turns, but the effective way is that you can basically tap some of their opponent's efficient blockers to give way to a more effective attack. So 4 copies this, make sure it's also a flying that can pick off damage early on. Next, we also have the rare Thousand Face Shadow. This one is going to go with just not only a 1/1 flyer, but also its ability in the late game having ninjutsu 4. So when it enters the battlefield from your hand, if it is attacking, you will create a copy of another target attacking creature, which means there are also variants that you can have several combat tricks or combat shenanigans with this ability. So the token also enters the battlefield tap and attacking. So that's basically for your 1-drops. That is 12. Next, for the 2-drops, you have 3 copies of Dukotsu Silencer. This is 2 to cast 2/1 ninjutsu for 2. Also, when it enters the battle, its ability that when this combat damages a player, you may discard a creature card. If you do, destroy a creature or planeswalker that player controls. So this is also a good way that you have your extra cards or your extra creatures that you may wanted to ditch out to have this effect to destroy any target creature or planeswalker that defending player controls. So 2 copies of those. We also have 3 copies of Kappa Tech Wrecker. This is a 2 to cast 1/3 ninjutsu. So for 1 in green, when it enters the battlefield with a detach counter on it. So this detach counter goes with having this trigger that whenever this Kappa Tech Wrecker deals combat damage, you may remove this detach counter. So if you do, you will get to exile target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Now with the standard format that is currently observed in the metagame, there are several artifacts and enchantments that are very relevant to be exiled with this ability. We have a Wedding Announcement, Fable the Mirror, also several artifact creature cards like the Flesh Gorger and any other cards from the Brothers War, artifact creatures that you can be able to remove via having this triggered ability whenever it deals combat damage to a player. So 3 copies of this. Next, we also have the 4 copies of Moon Circuit Hacker. This is just basically a 2 to cast 2/1, but the ninjutsu 1 for blue. So when it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card unless Moon Circuit Hacker enters the battlefield this turn. So the first time it enters via ninjutsu, or probably the best way is to have this one in ninjutsu ability is that you can have a cantrip, and in the late game you will still have some cards to filter out your hands. For example, you may need some more efficient creatures and discard those extra lands that you have drawn, probably. And Board Circuit Hacker will help this out one for you. So the only thing is that he does not have any evasion whatsoever, but the effective theme is that you will be able to ninjutsu him and do any combat tricks that you may need to be able to have this one more efficient. Now for another 2-drop, we have Nizumi Prowler. This deck has 2 copies of this card. 2 to cast 3-1. You also have ninjutsu for 2. When it enters the battlefield, you may tap target creature control detach and lifelink at the line of turn. This is also one way to trade out your less efficient, for example, your 1-drops that are not really giving you advantage in the matchup. You can have those one detach and lifelink to be able to trade with another opponent's blocking creature and any other relevant creatures that he might thought to be blocking just for purely killing your creature, but at the same time you would have them gain that touch, and so you would just basically trade them 1-for-1 with the Nizumi Prowler's ability. So I think this last card for the 2-drop is probably your Lord again. Silver for Master is still one of the standard component of a ninja deck now in this meta game. We also have this ability to ninjutsu, wherein your ninjutsu abilities activation would cost you 1 generic mana less to activate. So other ninja and rogue creatures you control gets +1/+1, and also it's also a good 2-drop by itself, but would be more efficient if you get this one to ninjutsu during your combat. So this for total, we have 16 for the 2-drops. Next, we have 6 3-drops in this deck, but those 3-drops would really go with the utility. We have example, first one is Fighting Palm Ninja. It is 3 to cost 3/3 with ninjutsu 3. When it enters the battlefield against menace counter, so this menace counter also has the purpose similar to that of Kappa Tech Wrecker, wherein when it deals damage to player, you may remove this menace counter. If you do, that player reveals their hand and you choose an unland card from it. And you get the excellent card, which means that you get to look at their next steps, excel the best card that would be giving you disadvantage. For example, mass removal, such as depopulate. You get to excel those or any other spot removal, and then you would know what will be their possible next turns that to play, and you would be able to counter that one up with how you would play out your creatures. So 2 copies of this. We also have 4 copies of Prosperous Tip, which is having 2/3 cost 3/2 with ninjutsu 3. 2, I mean, but this is probably, we can consider this one as a 2-drop because of its ability that has only costing you 2 instead of 3 to have this one. This ability that whenever 1 or more ninja or rogue creatures you control deal combat damage to a player will create a treasure token. So those extra treasure tokens will be used later on to cast more of your ninjas or do any other shenanigans in the deck. Probably having more, for example, some sideboard cards that you can use to have this extra mana or from the treasures be used to cast those sideboard cards. So again, that is for your 6 3-drops, and last but not the least is your 4 copies of your 5-drops, which you can still consider as a 4-drop because of ninjutsu of 3 generic mana and green. So the Relief Avenger is a 6/5. This can basically get a huge chunk of your opponent's life total. That whenever deals the combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So basically also giving you options to return all your early ninjas or rogues that was killed or been dealt combat damage with early on and died in combat, to have them put it out back to your hand. And at the same time, you can do also several combat tricks and ninjutsu abilities triggered on your next combat. So that is your creature lineup. That's total of 12, 16, 6 and 4, going with the 38 creatures all in all, with your 22 lands with several mana fix, slow lands. We also have the tribal Secluded Courtyard, which you will name Ninja for your creature type, and then additional Seprik Mars, also some swamps, which I forgot to change the design. So this one was going with just with the basic combination of basic lands and Secluded Courtyard just to go with your mana fix. And last but not the least is 3 copies of Uncharted Heaven. But if you go with the budget, I think you would add more with the cards like Underground River or some other good mana fix in this deck to make it sure that it is more efficient on the curve and being profitable for your every turn, especially in the first 3 turns. So average mana value is 2.16. That is, we can say that it's 2 on the general average. We have 16 2-drops in this deck, as you can also observe here. 16 2-drops. Next is 12 for the 1-drops. And the color combination would be very enough to have the mana fix on this deck. And lastly, the tokens that can use copy, and treasure tokens. So I guess that's about it for this deck tech. We have Sultai Ninjas, a slight upgrade from the typical demon ninjas that we know from Kamigawa and Dynasty. I do hope you would still try this build on your MTG Arena or MTG Online, and probably devise or make a sideboard plan for it in order to have a more efficient deck build, not only in the main deck but also in post-board situations. So I guess that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. On your next standard deck tech, just click like and subscribe and notifications bell for more updates and quick updates of these kinds of deck tech videos. That's about it. Thank you for watching, and until the next time.